What kind of fuckery is this?
I'd like to think I'm decent at adulting. I'm over 40, college educated, gainfully employed. I pay my bills on time, and I at least try to save some money, even if I frequently end up spending it on what can sometimes be some old bullshit. And on paper, I imagine I seem like I'm doing this grown ass shit kind of right. But truth be told, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing, and I suspect I'm in good company. Something happens along the way in life. When we're children, we're always sold the idea we can do and be anything we set our minds to do and be. And I believe there is good reason for selling us that idea. It would just be cruel to start crushing kids before they can even get a chance to think about what they want from life. But somewhere along the line, that encouragement, that enthusiasm, that investment in our hopes and dreams gets traded for telling us to settle on a good job, a pension, and some medical benefits. And what I want to know is what happened to happy. I mean, look, I love being able to get pap smears when needed, and there is something to be said for medical, dental, and vision care, along with a pension when the daily grind really ends. But what exactly happens between, hey, you can achieve your dreams, and here, sit at this desk and spend your good grown years doing this drivel? When do we lose our spark? When do we get to the point of not being able to dream anymore? And who sets us up to believe playing it safe is the only way while waiting until old age to actually start living? I'm a government employee. At least once a week, I hear someone talking about how much time he or she has before retiring. And believe me, those countdowns start ridiculously early. I hear stuff all day like, I only have 15 years, 6 months, and 3 days. And it's not uncommon. The work is often uninteresting, the holidays are nice, the pay is meh, and the benefits are decent. And truth be told, the highlight of it all is the pension, though I'll probably be fresh off my 98th birthday before I can draw it. I mean, most days I'm in that office doing work wholly unrelated to my educational background and skill set, and most tasks don't require my imagination. Some days I wish I was back in elementary school, in the classroom, being asked what I want to be when I grow up, stating my interest, and fully expecting all of it to come true. Instead, I'm sitting in a box, feeling as if I'm wasting away intellectually while being told I need to stay there because you got you a good job. And really, what folks don't seem to understand is I prefer a good life over a good job. I prefer to feel like I did something meaningful and rewarding at the end of the workday, instead of feeling like I chip away a little more at my soul each day just by showing up. When do we stop being told to let our minds soar and start being told we should be grounded instead? And what if we don't want to be on the ground? How do we fly and still manage to have a plan for old age or coverage for that much needed root canal? How do we balance what ignites our passions with what will pay the bills? And is there a balance? Or is the trade off for a secure future cubicles, khaki pants, and copays? Are we being played on some bait and switch shit? What happened to happy? So this time, I nor Sway have the answers. I just have questions, covered in a little bit of salt. And I hope that we'll wake up and realize there's more to life than a sad grind that strips us of our rightful joy. I'm Malikka Rogers, and that's This Week in Fuckery.
Ready?
All right, Alicia, thank you for participating today.
Thank you for having me.
Gracing us with your presence.
I feel fancy.
You should feel fancy. You are fancy. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to carry this conversation on while raising my pinky.
Please do.
And I do have a glass of wine today because I knew if I started drinking whiskey, I'd probably fall asleep, and that wouldn't be helpful. So,
that would be me in wine. Unfortunately, I'm dry, so my pinky is raised.
Oh,
True.
I'm sorry to hear that because that is a sad time when you're dry. I know that.
Well, as one does, I ran around and then after work and was like, oh shoot, I'm
Mm,
home.
mm-hmm.
Ancient laptop that sometime you make sure I was ready to go when it was time. So I'm out of the habit. I would have because I actually have ginger ale in the house. I would have made myself a little bit of whiskey. I have some honey whiskey, not Jack, but it's good and smooth. I would have queued up a drink had I been in my right mind, but I wasn't.
That's sad. I understand though.
That's why I
Um,
got.
times exactly. That's always the
Not
standard
true, but I
answer.
like to throw that in there every now and then
That's
because
why you
it's
ain't got no man.
Mhm.
I'm gonna start saying that to married people.
Period.
Yeah, because it.
You
Why
around the
not?
house, that's why you ain't got no man.
Yeah, it's so stupid that it fits with
Yeah,
everything.
it's never appropriate. So
Mm-mm.
why not just use it at any turn when you feel like it?
I'm having the worst morning. I mean, I came outside, my tire was flat. I finally got my donut on, got on my way to work, but then a train came. And so then I was even later. I arrived, and then they gave me a project that's due by noon. That's why you ain't got no man. Yeah, just saying it when it doesn't even.
Congratulations. Don't no man want that.
Right, right. That's why you're out here single, because you can't keep airing your tires.
And avoid trains.
You don't have to.
Come on.
If you was a real woman, you'd have a train schedule.
Wouldn't be no project that's due the same day because you just got. A
Right.
real woman doesn't think about those things. You don't have to deal with that
If
because you're a real one.
if you were a real woman, you'd have a man who was taking care of you, and you wouldn't have to go to work to do a project. You'd be home taking care of all his children. That's why you ain't
Oh,
got no man.
oh. Now you done told it.
I'm preaching. I'm in Bible country.
Woo. Mm.
Bible country. I always hate
With
it when.
somebody.
Oh gosh, no, not the rib.
Worst. The rib is the worst.
I like my ribs smoked, but that's
If
just
you have
me.
your Boaz, dead woman.
Oh,
Let me stop. Okay. Okay.
yeah. There's so many
Yeah.
ways to say that's why you ain't got no man, right? Mm.
hmm Let's just start throwing it out there. Let's make it happen. Hashtag. That's why you ain't got no man. I like it.
I should have done that when I was posting to Instagram today. Maybe I should go back and put that hashtag on there, and then everybody would unfollow me because they'd probably think I was serious.
Probably, as you know, it's
Yeah.
real on the street.
Yeah, and I don't want people to think I really mean that.
I'd know what you were talking about, though. I'd still follow you.
What I'm gonna do with one follower?
As a follower. Yay!
Oh, shout out to my one podcast follower on Instagram. Thanks. Thanks a whole lot. Oh, your picture has one like. I know.
Leave me alone. I'm out here doing what I do.
Mind your business. So, we're out here today talking about loving while black. And while we did have a conversation about the romantic black love that people always talk about, there's that black love documentary, and there's a black love doc hashtag on Instagram, and people like to hashtag black love whenever they post a picture of themselves with their equally black beau or boo or whatever. And all of that is wonderful, and black romantic love is great.
It is.
However, there's a lot more to loving while black than being in a romantic relationship, because sometimes loving while black can mean um, love of yourself, love
Mm-hmm.
for your children, love for your um, brothers and sisters, whether they be biological or just good friends or whatever the case. And so, what I want to do with you today is we're going to talk about that aspect of loving yourself while black. Because
Okay.
any kind of black love to me is a revolutionary act. Whether it's you loving a partner or whether it's you loving yourself, because we live in a world that can be so cruel to us, and where so much time is spent trying to make us hate ourselves and imply we aren't worth shit. So sometimes um, just loving yourself is a job, and it
Yes.
shouldn't be. It should be innate, but because of who we are and what we experience here in this world,
Mhm.
um, it becomes revolutionary for us to just love our damn selves.
Yep.
So I just want to talk a little bit about that. And because you are a divorced person like I am, but you're a divorced person who was married much of your younger years when people are usually dating and doing getting all their good hoeing in. You were
Yep.
you were married during that time. And so I have a question in terms of how did you, I don't assume you didn't love yourself while you were married and didn't love yourself after you were no longer married. But there comes I think the sort of grieving the end of a marriage
Mhm.
and thinking, what was my part in this? Did I do something wrong? Where did I go wrong? All of those things can cause a lot of self doubt and maybe can lead to a person not loving him or herself so much in that moment. So after becoming single, how did you get back to loving yourself in the best way possible?
Huh. Well, I mean, I have to say, first off, it's a work in progress.
Mhm.
I do, I am probably at a peak right now, but
Mhm.
some days not so much. For me, and yes, I got married young, but to be clear, I was married twice. I
Mhm.
got married the first time at 20, um, split, met my second husband, immediately was in a relationship with him, and then we got married, and we split up uh, after 12 years together, 7 years married. So my whole 20s and 30s and into my 40s, my early 40s, I was married.
Mhm.
And, self love to me in a relationship sort of takes a back seat because you see yourself reflected kind of in your partner.
Mhm.
Your partner loves you. You feel worthy of that love or whatever it is, and whatever things it is that your partner loves about you that they express. It's a mirror being held up to you. You don't necessarily have to be introspective and reflective about how you feel about yourself. I think, especially as a woman, because we are taught to value marriage so highly.
Right.
So, bag a man. I mean, that's it. What else could you
Mhm.
possibly be looking for to feel good about yourself aside from some kind of career, right?
Mhm.
When I divorced second time, you know, it was difficult. I likened it to a second adolescence because I really
Mhm.
had to figure out what I was about. I was not a wife. My child was a teenager about to graduate high school and go to college and kind of start her own process.
Mhm.
Um, so there was a lot of questioning and thinking and figuring it out. And I think part of my process was friends. I
Mhm.
am fortunate to have, always been fortunate, I think, to have a really solid friend group.
Mhm.
You know, I did not, in my close circle, I did not experience that kind of social ostracizing that you can when you get divorced and
Right.
split. And now you're the single woman, and all your friends are still
Mhm.
married and awkward, so they don't invite you. You don't do things together anymore. My friends were still my friends, and I had one friend in particular who was also going through a split. She and her man had been together for 10 years, and we kind of rolled out together, sort of.
Mhm.
Um, but I guess really the short answer, which isn't the easy answer, is I had to work. I had to be honest with myself about where I didn't feel good, what I didn't feel good about. I had to be honest with myself about kind of the blank spaces that I had never explored but really should have.
Mhm.
I had to, as they say, do the work.
Yeah.
The other layer on top of that. So I came to terms pretty much with being single and feeling good about me, period. Dating, not dating, whatever. Just kind of appreciating the things about me that I think are worth appreciating and feeling very solid and strong in those things. And so then I said I got divorced in my early 40s. I've been divorced for 12 years now, something. I'm in my 50s now.
Mhm.
And I have to say that that second layer of loving yourself has to do with the aging process.
Mhm.
We are, as everybody knows, a very youth-oriented culture. And even when you look good, even when I notice this, even when a woman looks great, there will be some bodies who will check and say, she's old.
Right. Right.
Jackson and Janet Jackson, a recent picture, and I want to say she was holding her coat closed or holding a scarf. She had her hand on a scarf or something. And there were all these comments about how good she looked. And then someone said, "Is that her hand?"
Oh my gosh, there's always one.
52.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. Well, she is old.
Oh
So
my gosh.
in this, in our youth obsessed culture, where like the people that we see who look really good, first of all, yes, I'm not going to knock anybody who looks great, just looks great. But they've also got a little assistance.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
So being a regular person, sans assistance, because hashtag poor,
Mhm.
um, feeling good about yourself when you know that there are segments of this community who deem you as irrelevant already,
Mhm.
um, and lesser valued is a whole nother brings a brings a whole nother layer to me of loving myself. I can't
Mhm.
add really black to that, not necessarily. Well, you know
Right.
how I feel about black don't crack, but what about when it does?
Yeah, it does
Um,
crack. As we discussed earlier this season,
mhm.
it most certainly does crack. It just usually cracks on the inside.
Yeah, yes. But yeah, I just had to acknowledge for myself what I needed to do, how I
Mhm.
felt about myself that was positive, how I felt about myself that was negative, and just deal with it, plow through it. And it was
Mhm.
not fun, really, but it was worthwhile.
You and I have often had this conversation, and I've been saying it for years, and people always get pissed off when I say it, but I don't care because it's true. Um, I don't think unconditional love exists. I don't think
Oh,
there's any such thing. And uh, I was thinking about it today, and I thought, most people feel like the closest they get to unconditional love is their children, which
mhm,
makes sense. But the condition is that they're your children. That's the condition.
mhm,
However, I was thinking to myself today, I wonder if the closest I get um, is actually love of myself.
mm,
I wonder if that's the closest I'll get to unconditional love. I feel like I even have some conditions for myself. Like it's important for me to be a decent person.
sure.
That matters to me. And if I ever stopped being a decent person, I might not love myself. Uh, Maybe I wouldn't stop loving myself altogether, but I think I'd find it very difficult to love myself or to find any reason for anyone else to love me if I just turned into this big old, you know, asshole. Um, but I'm thinking maybe the love of self is the closest I could get to unconditional love. I mean, huh, I don't know.
I don't know for me because there's still fuckery afoot from time to time, and I get on.
Mm-hmm.
I won't say
Yeah.
I don't love myself, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm annoyed. It's like your significant other. You love them, but you don't like them, and you don't want to deal with them.
Sure.
They're
Yeah.
being-
I definitely make myself sick.
Yeah, I have those moments where I'm like, bitch, you. Yes, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how y'all feel about it. That's just how I roll. Sometimes, but also sometimes affectionate too. So I don't know. I don't believe I will say, aside from my child, yes, the condition is that she's my child, but she can't not be my child. That's always going to be.
Right.
So I can be annoyed with her. I can not like her, but my love for her it's immovable and unshakable. I almost feel like I literally cannot love her because she's like, not like I'm bound to, like that's how I
Right.
feel, hardwired within me. But everybody else, amen.
Yeah.
Their condition.
I wouldn't even want anyone to love me unconditionally. Um, I mean, sir or ma'am, don't you have some damn standards? I mean, you love me unconditionally means I can just shit on you and you'd still be like, oh, Malika, you're just the best. I'm still right here.
I
I
love you
don't,
from afar.
yeah, no.
Okay, so love is a verb as far as I'm concerned,
Yeah, it's an
not
action
just
word for
a,
sure.
not just a feeling. So
Hmm.
if you are not actively loving someone, what is that? That's not love.
I don't, mm-hmm.
I will not wish ill on you because I don't do that. But I'm not gonna love you. I don't love. No, man.
Mm-mm.
People act like they are. It's funny. I feel like people act like they are obligated once you love somebody to always love them, but they don't seem to feel that same obligation to themselves. They're more
No,
obligated to love someone else
right.
than they do themselves. I don't feel obligated. I don't feel like once you had it, it needs to always be, my love needs to always be accessible to you.
Oh,
If
mm-mm.
related to the extent that we're not together anymore, well, then, all right. Vaya con Dios. I hope you have a good life.
Right, right. And you don't have to wonder where the love is. It's not here.
No,
It's not here.
you gonna go on and live your life with.
Yeah, I don't have it anymore for you. I'm using it for other people now. And I don't know. I mean, I guess my love is uh somewhat transient. I got that nomad love. And I will pick it up and take it somewhere else.
Absolutely.
And I don't feel bad about that.
My love is portable. I'm
Hmm.
sorry.
Totally. And I believe part of loving yourself is to know when to stop wasting your love on somebody else.
Listen, listen.
Um,
I think probably the biggest lesson for me being single was figuring out who is, I won't say worthy. Yes, I will. Worthy of me, you know?
right.
Just
Hmm.
everybody who asks, everybody who attempts, everybody who's cute, whatever, might not be someone who values you. Might not
Right.
be someone who knows how to, don't know how to treat you.
Bye, Troy.
Ah, and you know, first being comfortable with being single and not feeling so handeringy that I gotta try. I don't want to be alone for the rest of my life.
Right.
First, there's getting over that, and I'm as much as I do not like the fact that I am twice married and divorced. I appreciate it because what it did do for me when I was single was totally remove from me the kind of fervent desire to be partnered and to be married. I have been and remain chill about that. And I feel like people are getting married all around me. Him. But I'm cool. I am cool because I don't, you know, at a time, both of those marriages, particularly the first one, was good to me and for me. And then they weren't, right?
Right.
I am in no rush to repeat that again at all. If I have to date and date and date and date and date and date until I finally throw the white flag down and go ahead and put on my I give up shoes
Oh God, not those.
and my elastic waist pants and just quit, tap out. Okay, I'm fine. And so I am grateful for that because I'm pretty sure had I not been, I don't know, I'd probably be kind of terrible right now.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, well, you're talking to a person who's getting married, but getting married after being divorced for like what, 17 years? I oh, I mean, I was so good with just being with myself for all that time. I was like married. You can keep it. Uh, and I didn't even hate marriage or, I didn't think there's anything wrong with marriage. I just was, I think I became so happy with being single that marriage just wasn't really even on my radar. I didn't even, I really was getting into myself in a way that I think ended up being very healthy for me and in a way that makes me a much better partner now than I was 17 years ago. I think back in my first marriage, had I loved myself in the way I do now, things would have been very different. I'm not saying we still would not have ended up divorced, but I do think our experiences, even if they still led to that, would have been very different. Um,
Yeah.
but I just didn't have it at 25, like I do at 44. It's not the same.
At 20, I didn't know shit about no damn self love.
Yeah,
I didn't know shit
no.
about shit, okay?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
So I didn't even know that I was supposed to feel a way about myself, not to mention know that I had no idea of, it just was not a thing like self love. It just was not in, I didn't know. And even going into the second marriage, going into the second marriage, I felt more secure in myself as an adult, as a woman, because I was one, right? But even then, I don't know, self love. It wasn't being comfortable, getting comfortable being on my own by myself was probably the best thing that I did in terms of being cool with me and being cool doing me was the absolute best thing. The ability to do what I wanted helped me know. The ability to do what I wanted to do helped me know what I wanted to do. What do you like? What are you into? How do you want to kick it? Who do you want to kick it with? What kind of experiences do you want to have?
Right.
Little bitty things like that. And I mean, I've always been a person who enjoys time alone. I very much like my private, quiet, personal time. But when you really enjoy being on your being alone, when you really enjoy your own company, man,
It's
at
the
one point
best.
I actually kind of made myself nervous because I felt like I was being hermity.
Right.
So pleased.
Yep.
Ah, me, I'm about to binge this Netflix, read this
Mhm.
book,
Mhm.
nails, whatever. Mm,
Yeah. Yeah. That time spent loving on yourself
mm,
is the one of the best investments a person can make in
yeah,
someone else, and you're the someone else. You invest in
right.
yourself, and I think, I mean, that is what makes you a better person all the way around. If you're with somebody or if you're single, if you're, married or not, it makes you a better person everywhere, in your relationships, in your friendships, on your
Yeah,
job,
yeah,
as a parent, if you're a parent, as a sibling, as a child, whatever, it makes you much better and of greater, I think, use and benefit to the people you love
yeah.
when you spend time investing in the love of yourself. You're better all the way around. If you don't do that first, you're going to be lacking in some other area, and something that the people who love you need from you, they're not gonna be able to get it from you because you don't have it for yourself, so you don't have it to give to anyone. So, I mean, clearly, in addition to, like I said, black love being revolutionary, whether it's yourself or someone else, um, it's imperative. It's not just revolutionary. Like, it's a need. It's a necessity. You have to get into yourself in that way and love yourself in that way, um, so you can be the fully functioning person. Yeah.
Yeah, I, I really wish I had something profound to say, something sound bitey and deep about the process of loving yourself, but I don't. The only thing that I can say is that what was critical for me was knowing me and being honest with myself about myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as a Black woman, that intersectionality is not a joke. Um,
Right.
on my job, in my relationships, in my friendships, how I hold up my friends, how I give of myself, but not too much in relationships, not my whole self to where there's nothing left for me.
Right.
On the job, boy, so many things have happened, some of them casual on the surface, but more than microaggressions, but not quite overt. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Part of me loving myself as a Black woman who considers herself a professional has been getting comfortable with asserting myself,
Mm-hmm.
motherfuckers, what it is going to be and what it's not going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Have done not a lot of it, but more than I have ever had to do. And there have been consequences.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm pretty sure at my current job that I am that person now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that woman. I'm pretty sure that I don't care. I don't
Yeah.
care because what you're not going to do is get at me funky.
Mm-hmm.
Care what level it's on. You're not going to get at me crazy, period. But especially with regard to my Blackness. No, we're not going to have that at all.
Right.
So, you know, the revolutionary part, which in part comes from just having the nerve to love yourself, me also comes in the you're going to get this Blackness 24/7. Don't think because I'm at
Right.
the job, I left it at home waiting for me when I get back. No, I brought it with me. It's for everybody. You can have some good Blackness or you can have some not having it Blackness. Your choice.
Right.
And I will tell you that that has not always been the case. I'm not going to say I oh wait, let me go to the white job. It wasn't that. I just wasn't bold enough.
Right.
Wasn't confident enough. Now, I don't know. Like I said, everybody.
I hear it. We did talk earlier this season when we did the Bossing While Black episode, and I was talking about how sometimes what we don't discuss is are the consequences behind speaking up for yourself.
Mhm.
And I'm a person who's definitely suffered those consequences. I don't regret the shit, but I certainly had to endure some unpleasant consequences, even though I was right,
Mhm.
even though I don't regret what I said. I said what I said, and I meant that shit. I don't take it back. I don't feel sorry. None of those things. But because I did that, there were some consequences, and they were unfair consequences, but they were consequences nonetheless. Right? So there's always being black and deciding to assert your love for yourself via I'm not going to let you talk to me or treat me like that
Right.
does end up often in some kind of backlash in some kind of way. So it definitely costs to love yourself enough to speak up for yourself.
Yeah,
That'll cost you sometimes.
it does.
But I'm more than willing to pay for that shit. That's okay. Cuz I'd feel like I was losing so much more if I sat and took the shit and never said
Yes.
anything. I'd feel like the consequences were far greater than if I opened my mouth and just let the chips fall where they may. If I say nothing, then I feel like I've spent everything. I've lost everything because I said nothing.
Yeah.
So I have to love myself enough to be okay with those consequences and to
Yeah.
know that those consequences ain't gonna break me. I spoke up for myself. You mad about it? You gonna do whatever you gonna do? That's okay, cause I'ma still be straight.
Mhm.
In the end, whatever it is, will work out. I'll be fine.
I
But
believe
you'll know. I'll leave the situation knowing that you know that you're
right.
not gonna fuck with me,
Right.
cause I love
Exactly.
myself too much to let you do it. So
Exactly. I'm almost at the point now where I don't know if I can not say anything.
yeah.
It is so much a part of my personality of who I am
Mhm.
more, and it's kind of across the board. I mean, it's not just at work. I feel like after decades of not saying anything in certain situations or decades of being unsure if I was overreacting, you know, not trusting off top how I felt about something. After decades of that, it's almost like literally I had a filter and now it's not worth anything. It doesn't filter anymore. It
Mhm.
doesn't filter the way it used to. And so
Mhm.
if it hits me funny, I am going to say something. Whether that something is clarification, do you mean such and such?
Right.
Or whether that is, oh no, see, what you
Right.
know, whatever it is, and I value it so much. I feel it feels self protective to me. Like I am taking care of myself. I am looking out for myself.
Mhm.
Um, I think sometimes it reads to other people from the outside looking in as just mean and I don't know, angry. But again, I will reiterate, I don't care because I don't.
Nope.
I don't over it
And that's
at all.
exactly how you know that black love on any level, including black love of oneself, is
Mhm.
revolutionary. That's how you know it is. Darling, I thank you for participating in this conversation, this well rounded conversation about the various facets of black love. including the love of one's black ass self.
Please esteem of yourself.
Esteem of your motherfucking self.
That's right.
Absolutely, Cat.
It's so vital. I feel like self-love is like the core. It's like the core, and the other loves are the spokes that come out from it. Because if you are not grounded in love for yourself, then the love that you're giving, the friend love, the romantic love, the family love is off kilter. It's askew.
Yeah, and it's not the full that doesn't have the fullness to it because you're missing the aspect of yourself first.
I saw somebody say online the other day that it annoys them when people say, if you don't love yourself, you can't love anyone else. I hate that. And it was like,
probably because you don't love yourself.
You don't love yourself and you don't understand how that impacts the love that you give other people. I don't really know you, so I'm not going to get into it. I ain't trying to, not Oprah out here trying with platitudes. I feel bad for you.
Right. Because if you knew, sometimes people don't want to hear that because they don't want to do what it involves to start to love themselves and to love themselves wholly.
I get it. It can be grimy sometimes, but it's what is worthwhile that isn't in some way grueling to get there? What?
Nothing I can think of. Everything worth anything requires some work. Different levels of work.
But thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming.
I feel like we have, because we do, probably at least another good hour and a half on this.
Oh, God, yeah. In retrospect, perhaps
some other stuff.
Perhaps I should have done this in parts.
Be like, wait, I thought it was black love of yourself.
Well,
anyway,
it still might end up in parts. I don't know. We'll see.
All right.
Woot woot.
Cool.
Let me raise the glass that no one can see to you. Well, you can see it. And you raise your imaginary glass. I'll raise my real one and take this last sip. Thanks, AM.
All right.
Tackling Tomfoolery is produced by Bren Inman for Square Pupil Media. For more information or for comments and conversation, find us on the web at tacklingtomfoolery.org, the Tackling Tomfoolery podcast on Facebook, Tackling Tomfoolery on Twitter, and Tackling Tomfool on Instagram. To subscribe to the podcast, go to Stitcher, Apple Podcast, or SoundCloud, and please make sure you review the show because it helps others find us. If you'd like to contact us, email us at tacklingtomfoolery@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail at 916-573-1065 and let us know what tomfoolery you're tackling. You can also donate to the podcast via Patreon at patreon.com/Tackling Tomfoolery. Let's get it.